And turn up the rain. Sky blue. See, I can make it rain when I want. And build a castle from a single grain of sand. See, I can make a ship sail on time and your head. Yeah.
But good evening. Good evening. It's Friday night. You know what time it is. It's time to get back on the couch with Dr. Kim, and I'm Dr. Kim. So, welcome back. We've been back almost a month now. So, for those of you who haven't joined in a while, welcome back. Those of you who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. And like and share. Make sure you're sharing. Invite somebody to pour some libations so we can get into this. We're talking about the parent trap tonight. The parent trap. Now we remember the movie from, I know I'm late opening up my beverage. Share with you what I'm drinking in a moment. But if you remember from the 70s, I think it was the 70s, there was a movie called The Parent Trap. But it was about kids who were trying to match their parents up. I think the parents were widowers, a widow and a widower. So they were trying to get them together, right? Because the kids were young and I want a mommy, I want a daddy. And so they were trying to fix their parents up. Well, tonight I want to talk about a different kind of parent trap. And the parent trap I want to talk about is when grown kids are trying to trap their parents and block them from getting into a relationship. That's what we're going to talk about. What happens when your grown kids say, we don't like him or her for you, mom or dad? Should we give place to that? Or should we ignore it and go on our merry way and do what it is that we do? So that's what we're talking about tonight. And this topic came up because, like most of the topics I cover, my DMs are full of these questions, and my couch as well. People sitting here sharing with me that they have found the love of their life. They found the person that they want to spend their golden years with, and their children either say, with one of my children saying, I won't tell you which one, what do you need this person for? You got us. Or they say, absolutely not. We don't care for this person at all. Keep it moving. So, what do you do? A lot of people, again, ring my phone, they're in the DMs. I love my kids. They hold a very special place in my heart and my life. But I love this individual. Like, I've been waiting for love like this for years, and they feel torn. Hence, they feel trapped. So we're going to talk about that. What do you do? Um, this seems to be trending more than anything we're seeing. And I think part of it is because we're seeing more adult children returning home. We call this the boomerang generation. We also see a large percentage of adult children delaying their launch, meaning folks are leaving home later and later, meaning they're at home at a time when their parents' nest would normally be empty. So either through death or divorce, the parents are single and dating again. So folks are taking a little bit longer to get on with their own lives or leave. And so now they're kind of lost in the sauce of their parents' dating lives. So that's one part of it. And then the other one is, of course, which is kind of natural, particularly in the African American community, where so many of us, in sociological terms, belong to high context microsystems. Now, I always got to bring my professor life into this. A high context microsystem is a tightly knitted nuclear family and extended family, meaning that everything, the mother, father, children, grandparents, everything that we do, all decisions that we make, all depend on the other ones. So it's very interdependent. We don't make big moves, definitely, and even some small moves, right, without discussing it with our family members. And so, that being said, the children who have been raised this way definitely think that they have a say so in who you date. Now, on the surface, when I pose this question on Facebook, and those of you who follow, um, we're in Love and Life according to Dr. Kim. That is my group. We're about 2,000 strong. If you're a woman and you haven't joined, please find us and join the conversation. But interestingly enough, I saw this question posed on a number of pages, relationship groups, and over 50 groups in particular. And people were off the bat. F those kids. They don't have anything to say to me about who I date. Where were they when I chose their mother or their father? All right. They weren't in my business then. They don't need to be in my business now. So for that reason alone, people were like, it's a no-brainer. No, my kids don't have a say-so in who I date. No, it's none of their business. No, I'm not considering what they're saying. But there was a small faction of folks on these posts, as well as mine, who said, I don't know. Because of the relationship I have with my kids, I probably would give it some thought. I probably would think about it. So tonight we're going to unpack, first of all, why adult children may reject or disapprove of your choices, your dating choices. And we're going to also discuss if we should let them influence the relationships in question. So in some cases, it's a relationship that hasn't even started, right? They just kind of see you moving different, and all of a sudden it's no. It's no. So we're focusing on adult children tonight because, again, the younger children, like I was talking about the parent trap, younger children, it stands to reason that they would maybe reject or be a little difficult, right, with someone new coming into your life because someone you're dating and you have dependent children, that person is more than likely going to be a huge part of your daily routine. Or in the case of a non custodial parent, the part of your weekend routine. So the kids are going to be involved sometimes a little sooner than you might like. So the kids are automatically going to either lean into this person and start bonding with them, or they're going to draw the line. Nope, I don't like them. I'm not trying to like them. They're not my friend. I want my daddy. I want my mommy. So that one, a little bit different set of circumstances because you almost have to deal with it, right? In order to see this person and carve out time to see this person, you involve your children. But grown people, adults, I don't know, it gets a little bit stickier, a little bit stickier. So why should it matter? Why should it even matter with grown children? Why should it even matter to them who you're dating, why you're dating them, where you're dating them, all of those? Well, first of all, especially if you've been single for a while, like myself, I'm in that group. Um, they're afraid of losing total access to you. So think about it, especially in the case of, I'll say either divorce or death, but definitely in the case of death, there's a parent that's missing, right, who's gone on um, to the other side. And so now they have you kind of all the time. And it could be that you've leaned into your kids more because of the loss of a spouse. I see people do it through divorce too, especially women, where they kind of lean on their kids a lot heavier because of the absence of a spouse. And so now you're dating someone and your schedule changes and your level of access, and they don't like it. They don't like it. Wait a minute. All of a sudden, I knew where mom and dad was, what they were doing, who they were with, where they're going, and now I'm having to call first. I'm having to call first and find out if I can come by, or I come by and they're not there. That's problematic. So, that's kind of the first one for the adult children is losing total access to this parent that they didn't have to call and make appointments with. It's also jealousy. And when I researched this, I was kind of surprised to see that as one of the reasons. But in thinking about, again, people that I've talked to, sometimes the kids are jealous. And why would a grown child be jealous of you dating? Number one goes back to the first reason. If I'm used to having you at every beck and call, and now someone is challenging maybe that space, I'm jealous. I don't like the fact that that person is maybe in a space that they imagine that they held. Now, you know, and I know that as much as we love our kids, and I know I love mine. Hello, if you all are watching, I love mine. But that love is a very different love than you're going to give or receive with a partner. So even though you love your kids, it really is no competition between them and that person, but that sometimes is how children see it. The other jealousy, and this one I found really interesting, is that oftentimes the adult children are jealous because of where they are in their romantic life. Like, wait a minute, how is my 60-year-old father out here with a woman tripping, going out trips, concerts, the whole deal, and I'm sitting here with my phone dry waiting, waiting on somebody to call, or I've made the calls and nobody's calling back. Kids like, this is whack. And same thing with the mothers. Wait a minute. How's my mom pulling these characters? And I'm sitting here on a Friday night. Like I'm sitting here on a Friday night with all of you. So there's some jealousy. Yeah, the grown kids get a little jealous. So they lose access to you. Some of them get jealous. Couple of these reasons are legit. Well, all of them are legit, but these next couple of ones I think most people would really understand, and that is the fear of their parents being hurt. And we've all experienced hurt. But again, think about it. When we were going through our original heartbreaks, our kids weren't alive. So they didn't see us going through well, most of us, not all of us. Some of our kids were not alive, right? In general, our kids are not around when we're going through those initial breakups, um, unrequited love, etc. So kids don't want to see you hurt. And if they've seen you hurt already, right? Again, through death or divorce, they just don't want to take the risk. They're like, no, for you to go out there in the dating pool that they may have already identified as full of pee, they don't want that to happen to you. So they try to be very much involved with the vetting process, trying to weed out the people that they think may not hurt you. And then some of them, the fear goes with the fear of them thinking their parents will be taken advantage of, especially widows and widowers. So their kids are very wary of somebody dating them because they think this person may see dollar signs. It's like, oh no, you're not going to come in here and take everything that my mom or my dad worked for. You had to go. So they're immediately like, no. And here's what's crazy. There doesn't seem to be a time limit on it. So, and I know you all have seen that a lot. As soon as a widow or a widower begins dating, so many people say it's too soon. And I've seen that comment made when it's been years since that person was widowed or widowered. if there is such a term, years. And people will still be like, well, they just passed and they're already out here dating or they're already out here getting married. And it's like, wait a minute. First of all, there is no definitive timeline for when someone should heal and move on. There, the stages of grief are there. And when my book comes out, you're going to see that even though I'm using the stages of grief to talk about divorce, there's stages of grief related to death and divorce. And there's no timeline on how long it takes somebody to get through all of those stages, which we also know are not linear. Meaning you can get all the way to acceptance and wake up one day and be right back on denial. Like it happened yesterday. So there's no timeline, but a lot of kids fear that. It's like, I don't care if it's been years. You're still vulnerable. You could be hurt. This person may have ulterior motives, and they may. We're going to talk about that some more in a minute. So even though those seem pretty selfish, the one that I found most interesting was kids really not being able to see you as an individual, being able to see you as a whole woman, a whole man with your own needs that are separate from your identity as a parent. That's really hard for kids to accept that you may have some needs, emotional and physical, just like they do, because they see you just as their parent. And particularly, we see that with folks who are at an advanced age. God, like, wow, I'm almost at that advanced stage, but definitely those who have parents in their 60s and 70s, they just see them as old people. Well, you should be happy. You got a great flat screen TV, you got all the channels. Why do you need to be out here dating? The same reason why you need to be out here dating. So the kids don't get that sometimes. Um, Even though they seem selfish, some of the other reasons that come up is they get wary when they see you moving different, dressing different, and making different decisions. For the kids who are really knitted into their parents, those look like red flags. It's like, wait a minute, what do you have on? My kids call it being fast. So when they see me wearing something, like, who does she think she is? What do you call yourself wearing? That's how I know I'm on the right track. So I'm like, if they make that comment, I'm like, I'm ready to go. Good. Let me go get two or three more like that. But most kids start leaning in when they see that. So wait a minute. She's going out on a weeknight. He's going out of town on the weekend. They're spending money they would normally spend. Maybe I need to see what's going on. When they ask you questions and they feel like you're being secretive, that's not the answer that I usually get. There's some information missing. They see a change in your moods, both good and bad. So, what do I mean by that? Sometimes they see the good changes. Why is she walking around singing while she's doing her laundry? Why is he just walking around smiling while he's writing out his bills? Like, wait a minute. There's a shift in these moods. They're not acting like they normally do. Or sometimes it's a negative shift in moods. Well, all of a sudden is my mother or father spending a lot of time in their room or sitting in the car before they come in the house. They weren't acting like that until this person came into their life. So that can become a red flag. They see you stressed out. Again, there's good stress. Oh, goodness, what? I don't have anything to wear. And bad stress. This person doesn't seem to understand me. They hear a whole lot of arguing. And I remember just to have a moment of transparency. I remember a long distance relationship I was in, and my kids brought that to my attention. It's every time you pick up the phone, we can tell when you're on the phone with this individual because my voice would be raised, and then I would go real quiet, and then I would come out of my room. They'd see the tears or see that I had been crying or stressed out. They didn't say anything for a long time, but they were picking up on the change in my moods. They see you being unavailable, again, both good and bad. They're never home. They're never around. Or they're never home. They're always home, but they're not emotionally available to us, especially in ways that they have been before. But this is the where another one where jealousy comes in. When they see you talking to this person in your life about things that you used to talk to them about. And it could be something as simple as, gosh, getting something to eat, something you're about to purchase, whereas normally you would bounce it off of them. You're talking to your new significant other, your boo. They don't like that. They don't like that. So when they see you moving different, sounding different, acting different, um, it it sets off something in them. And they're like, wait a minute, we gotta get involved. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? So I talked earlier about how those family ties, right, are really strong, especially for those of us, I'll say black and brown people. So I'll be more inclusive. And so again, that family dynamic changes. If you're used to Sunday dinners at Big Ma's house and all of a sudden Big Ma's at the club or she's out to dinner with her boo, that feels different. That's challenging the stability of the family unit as we have known it. So why does it also matter? We should want to model for our kids, even with them being adults, how do we handle conflict? So I don't think that I'm suggesting that you don't just blow off what they're saying. Allow them to be heard. Say, okay, let me hear what you got. And then let's put the problem on the table and talk about whatever your issue is that you brought up about this new boo in my life. We also want to make sure that we're what? Establishing future boundaries, future boundaries for them as well as ourselves. So when that's brought up to you, I think a real good question to start with is, are you asking me something that you don't mind me asking you about your business? Since we're all grown, if you want to open up this can, make sure that can opens up both ways. And I think that's fair. And I've seen that suggestion shut down some conversations where the kids are like, okay, I give. You're right. Let me stay in my lane. You got at least a good 20, 25 years on me. You do you. I'm here if you need me. And then in some cases, it has initiated a conversation where they're like, okay, well, now I want to ask these questions, but now I have to ask them different because the parent is reminding them, you can step to me, but you need to do it with respect. Put some respect on it. I'm not your child, never will be. And if we're friends, I'm not one of your little friends. And there's a difference. I think it's wonderful when your children reach their majority, as we say, and you're able to have a friendship with them. However, I'm never going to be your peer. So you ask the question, and there are certain questions I think parents should be willing to answer. And there's some, it's like, no, I don't feel comfortable answering that, or I don't think that's your business. And your children have the right to do that too. So let's make sure, children, you're asking some fair questions. So, when should you consider listening to your kids? I told you some of my Facebook followers said never. Ain't their business. It's not your business, and it won't be today, and it won't be tomorrow. Here's what Dr. Kim is suggesting. Take this into consideration. I believe that if your children, adult children, bring you facts over feelings, you should consider what they're saying. What do I mean by that? I gave you one example already when my kids were able to bring to me anecdotal evidence that since I had started dating that person, my moods changed and I was constantly in distress every time I talked to this person. And to be honest, I had noticed that pattern. I had not noticed that pattern at all. They were saying, "You're spending a lot more time in your room," which invite you to watch a movie, and I might stay the first 15 minutes and then I'm gone to go talk to this individual. And on the surface, it might have seemed romantic, but when they brought to my attention, no. More of those conversations ended up with you being stressed out than you being elated. And so I remember my son making a deal with me that he would never say anything to me about relationships again. He said, as long as I was smiling more than I was crying. And that's his barometer. I just want you to be happy, whoever it is. And I thought that was fair. So if kids are bringing you facts, I've noticed this on multiple occasions. I've seen this. You even told me this several times, and I'm concerned that these things have happened. But if they're coming to you, like I've seen some adult children do, not mine, I've seen some adult children do. I don't know. I just don't like this person. And that's been sons and daughters. It's just something about them. I just or sometimes it is the appearance. Really? What do you see in that person? You've never dated anybody that short, that fat, that dark, that light, that old, that. These whole list of characteristics that they see or that they value and want you with that may not be on your list at all. So if it's feelings like that, their opinion, we're not going to deal with opinions, but facts, I think it's fair to consider. Consider, at least give it space and listen. What about considering the source? Now this could get a little sensitive. So come in real close. This could get a little sensitive. We love our kids. And God knows I love mine. But you have to consider the source. You have to consider the source. So which child is saying this? Is it your child who kind of has themselves together? Is it the child who has kind of seen your perspective on things? Is it the child that doesn't have a vested interest or I'll say declining interest if you move into this relationship? Meaning that they're the one that I was talking about earlier that's really tied to you closely and can see that their space in your life is being jeopardized. Is that the kid that's saying something? So you have to consider the source. Why? What is the motivation of this child? That right there, just in itself, could help you decide how much space you're going to give to their point of view. Something to think about. Who is it? I say that even about families. We're not talking about families tonight, but and if my sister is out there, she know who I'm talking about. Who dealt with family members who had a lot to say about who they were with. It's the same thing. Consider the source. If this is somebody who wished your life was theirs, keep it moving. But if there's somebody who's been in your corner over the years, ups and downs, backs and forths, I think you owe it to them to at least give some space to consideration. I did not say that you had to immediately end the relationship or hide the relationship, but at least give some space to thinking about what they are saying, what they're feeling. The third thing I want you to think about is considering how it's presented. How are they stepping to you with these concerns? Is it a conversation or is it confrontation? And children, if you got, there's some children watching who are thinking, do I want to address this with my parents? Think about your presentation. If you remember an old Cosby episode, how many people watch Cosby and still watch the reruns? If you remember when Vanessa brought Dabney's home, do you remember that episode? Trying to see who's in the chat who remembers. Yes. Who remembers Dabney's when she brought Dabney's home and was like, we're getting engaged, we're getting married. And Bill and Claire just kind of sat there. I'm sorry, Heathcliff. Cliff and Claire just kind of sat there and looked at her like, are you serious right now? And she got upset that they wouldn't just accept it. They weren't happy about it. And he said, have you like a steak dinner? I was like, yeah. And he's talking to Dabness now. Yeah, and you like the mushrooms on there and the gravy and all of these things. He's describing this beautiful steak dinner. And he said, and they bring it to your table on a garbage can lid. Would you still want it? And I always thought that was a great metaphor for how we can deliver messages, either in a positive, we set it up nicely, or when we confront how it's going to be negatively received because of how we are presenting this information. So if your kids are coming to you, say, hey, we're going out to dinner, let's have a conversation about this relationship. I really like to talk to you about what's going on. I don't know too many parents that wouldn't be open to that conversation. But you want to have what do we call that? An intervention? We're gonna sit her down after she serves the peach cobbler and say, now look, or him, Daddy, we know that you call yourself, being in this relationship and you think you're happy, but we've all talked about it and we don't see this for your future. Really? I can tell you already, especially a man, your father's gonna be like, well, thank you for your opinion. You can leave now. That's not gonna go well. Let me see what's going on in this chat. Absolutely. Yes, it depends on, yep, it absolutely depends on the relationship you have with your kids and that dynamic. Hey, Bias. Hey, let's talk under the tree. Thank you. Yeah, you saw we had the same topic this week. Hey, Doc. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm sorry I'm so late to talking to my friends in the chat. Please make sure you're sharing this. Somebody needs to hear this because this was on my heart to talk about it. So I just know it's somebody wrestling with this. Kids getting in their face. Never here. Right? So think about how you're going to approach your parents and how your kids are approaching you. So let's be grown about that. So ultimately, whether the kids have a conversation, they give you their concerns, all those things, ultimately, the choice is yours. The choice is yours. It is your life. They are grown. And if you are like most parents, I won't say all, and I know I got some folks here in education and psychology know what I mean by this. Some people haven't done the work. But for those parents who invested their younger years grooming and raising their kids and making sure that they were fully present in their lives, you've done the work. Kudos to you. You do not owe them the rest of your life. You don't. So don't miss a chance at happiness because your children want you to stay in the box that's comfortable for them. And they can make you feel guilty, right? Well, it'd be nice if you come, but I guess you got something to do. Wow, I remember when we used to do blah, 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 blah. Really? Guilt is not going to work. Don't let the guilt work on you. Live your life. Live your life. Don't miss your chance. Don't miss your boat. Okay? So if you decide you're going to proceed with the relationship, especially if you're talking about marrying this individual, first of it, going back to those boundaries, you have to insist on respect. Insist on respect. You don't have to like him, her, them, but you will respect them. And then describe what respect looks like. Because we all have a different definition of what respect looks like. For example, somebody might think that this is respect. Sitting in your house like this, with their face all, your body language is showing, I don't want to be here. I don't like this situation. If you can't control your body language enough to feel cordial especially coming to the house that your parents are sharing with their new mate, then it would be in your best interest to not come. You cannot disrespect someone in their home. And parents, you should not accept disrespect in your own home. I've seen adult children talk past the new mate like they're not there. That's disrespectful. Number two, establishing the boundaries that this person is your priority. Again, we're talking about marriage. It's not up for discussion who this person is to you. You should not hide that, nor should you pretend that that bond does not exist. So, like I said earlier, spaces where the kids may have occupied decision making, and Lord, I don't want to get into holidays. That could be a whole show in itself. But it is now your partner, you and your partner. They're the priority in those decision making spaces. And don't be afraid to say that unequivocally. This is how I'm doing business now with said partner. Number three, avoid forcing a relationship with them. So sometimes once the kids kind of accept it, okay, mom, dad, they're going to go ahead and pursue a relationship with this person. Okay. And they stop saying anything about it. They stop giving the pushback. Now the parent wants us to all be one big happy family. You cannot create that overnight. You invite, right? You extend olive branches, but you have to give that space and time. Don't try to force relationships. And again, I think that's super important when we're talking about adults, because again, they're not dependent on this person for daily care or anything. This is just a value added relationship. So maybe try to find some things that they have in common, um, and try to again create space for that bonding or that meshing to take place, but don't push it. If you push, I guarantee you there's going to be a pushback. Schedule time. And this one's, I know a couple people did not like when I suggested this before, but it ended up working well. And that is schedule time with your kids, just doing things with them by yourself. So some people feel like when I've said that, that means ignoring your partner. Absolutely, it does not. What it means is you're still trying to keep, confirm, and affirm that connection that you have with your kids. And I see my daughter, she said that in the chat. It really depends on the dynamic with you and your kids. If anybody knows me and my three, they know we are a traveling circus. the four of us together, unmatched fun. And so I think that's important to keep that bond with the three of them as a collective, as well as the individual relationships I have with each daughter and my son. Because we had that right from birth. There's a special place that those relationships have, and they still need to grow and they still need to be nourished. You don't want to have those moments and your partner is sitting there and maybe not getting some of those insider jokes or those things that happened long before they came in. So there still needs to be space for us to be us, where there's not competing affections with this new person. So schedule some time with your kids, things that you are used to doing with them, things that you used to enjoy doing with them. Keep that. But at the same time, be careful that they're not starting to invite you to things to the exclusion of your partner. So I've seen it again, some parents trying to open the door and solidify the relationship with the kids, and the kids use it against them. And you look up, it's like, wait a minute, they keep inviting me to things, but they're not inviting him or inviting her. So watch for that. It's a slippery slope. All right. So we want to balance. Some activities should just be you and your kids, collective or individual, but there should be times, right, where your partner is with you. because what did we say? The partner is a priority. We're concerned about their feelings. We're in a commitment to them and with them. And then last, I always go here. I love Jesus. Jesus loves me. We're on a first name basis. People like, just pray about it. Absolutely, you should pray. But there's also therapy. There's also therapy. There's also life coaching. There's family counseling. Okay. So is Jesus and therapy. It's prayer and practice, right? So the reason why I'm suggesting family counseling, even though everybody may not be living under one roof anymore, a lot of times when you get pushed back to a certain level, is because there's a root issue that was never addressed. And it manifests when a new person enters that family unit. It could be that there was grief that was never dealt with when the parent died. It could be there was trauma that was never disclosed while the parents were together. It could be issues that arose during that divorce, and the child masked it, held on to it, or it wasn't acknowledged, because a lot of times when we see kids act out or draw inward, people say they just need time, or they'll grow out of it. Well, how about sometimes we don't grow out of things? It just grows inside of us. So it could be that even at these mature ages and advanced ages, we need to sit on somebody's couch. It doesn't have to be Dr. Kim's couch, but you're always welcome to sit on my couch and talk about it. But find out why are you so angry about me moving on? Why are you so upset about me loving someone else? I think it's worth it to get those questions answered, not just for you, so your relationship can thrive, but your children, so they can live a fulfilled life and happiness and not try to sabotage the direction that you're going in. Okay? So conversations over confrontation, counseling is definitely there, and boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. That comes up a lot in the conversations that we have here on the couch with Dr. Kim. So that's all I have. That's all I have tonight. I think give them space, consider the source, but at the end of the day, it's your life. Don't. What was it? I was hoping Sarah would come on here again before I close, which tells you this is an issue that has been going on since the beginning of time. Excuse me, I forgot to tell you, it's Tiki Rum Punch tonight. Tiki Rum Punch tonight. Yep, for this conversation, I thought that would be appropriate, right? Because sometimes those conversations with your kids feel like a punch. But listen to this. There's a movie. If you're into old movies, you got to check this movie out. It's called All That Heaven Allows. All That Heaven Allows. And it's starring Rock Hudson, who I used to love. Rock Hudson was founded in Frog Hair. But anyway, it starred Rock Hudson and Jane Wyman. Jane Wyman was a widow. Husband had died. They were well off. She had one son, one daughter. And so Rock Hudson was the gardener. He took care of their estate. And they started talking one day. Anyway, they became friendly and a romance blossomed. And her kids had a fit. How are you talking to the gardener? First of all, he's the gardener. He's beneath us. Second of all, father just passed. And you could tell the way they were telling the story had been maybe at least a year or two, because the seasons had changed a few times as he was taking care of the yard. And they were upset. You shouldn't be dating anyone, and you shouldn't be dating the gardener. So this is the 50s. They thought an antidote to her dating Rock Hudson, again, 6'4" and fine as anything, we'll get her a TV. So they bought her a floor model TV and thought that'll pacify her. She'll be able to sit at home and watch something on TV. Watch something on TV. She won't want to go out with this hunka man. So she gets the TV now. Oh, I forgot to mention also her friends at the country club looked down on it. So they didn't want her bringing him around because he was the gardener. Well, guess what happens? Holidays come, they buy her a Christmas tree. The daughter gets engaged, and the son decides he wants to stay at Princeton or Harvard or wherever he was going to school. She ended up sitting there by herself because she had broken up with Rock Hudson. So she had no plans for the holiday. They changed their mind at the last minute that they weren't coming home for the holiday. And she sat there with her floor model TV and the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. What's the moral of the story there? Live your life. Live your life. So it ended happily. She found out, well, she started getting sick, and the doctor said that she was just sick because she was lovesick. So she went to look for him. He had an accident trying to call from her from a mountain. He fell off the mountain into the snow. They came back into the city and let her know that he was in a coma and that she needed to come and care for him. And so she did. And he came out of the coma and he was like, I'm so glad you're home. And you see the deer out in the snow, and it's the end. So it ended happily. It ended happily. And I want things to happen. I know, isn't that the best? And so I want things to happen happily for you. So you can care for your children and love yourself, little ones or older ones. Consider the source. Consider conversation over confrontation. And then lastly, get some counseling if you need it. Okay? So if you're trying to find me, there's a number of ways you can find me if you want to get on the couch with Dr. Kim. You can go to On the Couch with Dr. Kim on Facebook, on Instagram. You can also find me in Love and Life According to Dr. Kim. That's women only. Our Facebook group there. DM me on one of those platforms, Facebook or Instagram. Or you can definitely leave your email here and I'll reach out to you if you want to leave that information on YouTube. I would love to chat and talk with you about stuff. That's what I do. So next week, I'm trying to think, what are we talking about next week? Is it lessons after divorce? It might be lessons after divorce, or it could be relationship patterns. I know somebody asked me to talk about baby mama drama. I know. I'm always scared of that one. That one gets scary. But let me look at the schedule here. What are we talking about next week? Oh, alignment. I know some people wanted to talk about alignment, and then the apology languages are coming up. The apology languages are coming up. I do have a TikTok favorite. She'll be coming on with me. I don't want to give you her name, but she'll be coming on with me soon, and we'll be talking about divorce then. And then it'll be just about time for me to bring out my book. I think I'm gonna start putting some quotes from the book so you guys can check it out and I can get some feedback. How does that sound? It's all about suddenly single after divorce. I think you'll love it. It's juicy, juicy. Yeah, some of the things that Dr. Kim went through. She's healed now, but I'm telling you, it was a moment. It was an absolute moment. So that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining me. I will see you same bad time, same bad channel, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, right here on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're picking this up. Back on the couch with Dr. Kim, the relationship innovator. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Until next time, thank you for your time and attention. Good night.